Hey you guys, welcome back to another episode of Auto Amateur, and here it is. The 996 is on the road and it's working. Let's go check it out. Well guys, in this video, I am revealing the 996 for the second time. When I revealed it a year ago, we took it out on a drive and we managed to get about 5 minutes down the road. I managed to take some nice pictures of it, some drone shots, and I lost first gear and then third and then fifth. And I limped home in second and fourth gear. Transmission blew, or should I say more accurately, the bell housing on the end of the transmission, which connects to the engine, fractured. It cracked all the way around and came loose. So I limped home in second and fourth. And unfortunately, that event also cracked the base of the engine. So for the best part of the year, or the past year, as many of you know, this beautiful looking 996 has just been gathering dust, sort of sat in the corner of the garage, feeling pretty sorry for itself. Well, I've been focusing on my 991, but it's been into Porsche of Minneapolis for the past week, and it's now there. It is driving. It is absolutely phenomenal. I just can't wait to share this with you. Okay, so what changed? Well, quite a lot. Over the course of the last week and a half at Porsche Minneapolis, we have installed a replacement engine with less than 100,000 miles on it, which I picked up on the West Coast from a dealer on eBay that specializes in German cars. We put in a replacement transmission, 6-speed manual, which I picked up from eBay again, from a salvage shop in Philadelphia. Now, that was the plan. We were just going to be doing those two things. And yes, there were a couple of hoses here and there that we needed, and it needed a new battery because it's been sat around for the best part of a year and a half now, and it went dead. Fluids, coolant, oil, brake fluids, all of that good stuff. So I was expecting that to take 2 or 3 days and cost around $3,000, $3,500 to do the replacement, which I thought, considering the criticality and the importance of those components in the car, well worth the money, and it was. But as they were taking everything apart and trying to put it back together again, they think they nailed down the root cause of the problem, why the transmission blew originally for the previous owner and then for me. Well, apparently there was something going on in the clutch, whether it was the wrong flywheel or it just hadn't been put back together properly. The first time when the previous owner did the IMS, one of the previous owners did the IMS solution kit, it wasn't put back together properly. When Steve, Pat, and I put it back together, again, something just wasn't quite right in the clutch. And essentially, just sort of getting it started, it was fine. Going up and down in first and second gear and third, it was fine. But when you really started to put the gas on, the amount of power that was being created was essentially pulling or pushing the transmission and the engine apart, which ultimately created so much stress that the bell housing fractured. Now, they put the original Porsche OEM parts in the car. It's had a new flywheel, a new clutch kit, it's had new linkage, it's had a new bearing or clutch joint, and it's had a couple of new gaskets. It's basically had everything, like a completely brand new clutch. I think the only thing remaining is the clutch pedal from the factory. Now, the great news is that it feels like a brand new car. It just drives like a brand new car. It's really fantastic. The clutch is silky smooth. It takes hardly any weight to push in and out. The gears just move in and out of the notches perfectly. There's no crunching whatsoever, and the engine just sounds fantastic. So that's everything that was done. But of course, there is more in store for the 996. We're not quite finished yet. It's roadworthy, it's driving, but we're not quite there. So what else, and will I ever be finished? And it's a fair question because I do often just go on and on with the mods that I plan for my cars. But in this case, some of it is essential maintenance and other is just a little few kind of final styling tweaks to really make this car my own. So in terms of essential maintenance, the guys at Porsche Minneapolis noted that I need new lower control arms for the front of the car, and I need to replace some parts with the sway bars. I think they're called bush fixes, bush gizmos, bushings. They're called bushings. Clearly, I know loads about this part of the car. Now, the parts aren't too expensive. The control arms, if you pick up the Mealy brand, which is very close to OEM, you're looking at about $125 per lower control arm. If you want to get the genuine Porsche parts, if you buy them from a third party, they're about $400. If you get them from Porsche, they're probably going to be twice that if you get them from the dealership. So I'm going to be installing those myself. The job looks relatively straightforward. You get the car up on the lift. There are 4 or 5 bolts to replace. You need a spreader to sort of pop the ball joint out. And then it's just a straight kind of lift and shift. So the front lower control arms is a job we'll be doing in the next couple of weeks. And then also the sway bar bushings, again, getting the car off on the lift. I need to take the plastic panels off the bottom. I need to undo 2 of the braces that sort of hold things together underneath, as well as a couple of additional bolts. And then the sway bar basically just comes down. You take off the plastic parts, you put the new plastic parts back on with some grease, and then put them back up, and you're good to go. I'm imagining it's 2 or 3 hours per job. So that's a nice sort of couple of jobs to do over a weekend, but it's really important that I get that done before I go to my next event, which is going to be taking a tour of the Rocky Mountains with a load of friends. And if you want to participate, we've got about a dozen people leaving from the Twin Cities at the end of May. We're picking up another dozen people in Denver and then some more in Salt Lake City. And we're essentially going up and down the Rockies, finishing off in Yellowstone Park. You can find all the details for that event at autoamateur.com, and it's the spring tour. We're all booking into hotels at various places along the way, and essentially it's a day or two in each of the locations. But we're doing a big car meet in Denver, and then we're doing another big car meet in Salt Lake City. So even if you don't want to come on the tour with us all the way, I think it's like a 3,000 or 4,000 mile round trip, you can just turn up to the car events in Denver and Salt Lake City, and it'll be a blast. So they're the two pieces of maintenance that I need to do to the car. And then I've got a couple of other jobs if I get time. One is putting the Sports Classic stripes across the top. Now, I am gutted that it's taken me this long to get to this, because I wanted to put this on this car, paying homage to the famous 997.2 Sport Classic with those gorgeous little stripes along the top, slightly off color from the rest of the car. It's one of the most popular limited edition Porsches ever released. So I wanted to do that. And then just a couple of weeks ago, having made that decision, at Amelia Island down in the Florida area, PCA launched a single one of one 996 Sport Classic Coupe with the 996 version of the stripes across the top. And the wheels that I have as well, the Sports Classic wheels. So they beat me to the punch. So I, kind of thought I was leading the charge there, and actually, I'm just gonna look like a copycat. But still, I'm gonna put some navy blue stripes across the hood, across the top, and across the ducktail on the back, and that should really finish it off nicely. Inside the car, I've got some rails which allow me to get an extra 2 or 3 inches worth of legroom backwards for the driver's seat. They're called seat extenders. And then I'm also going to be doing the GT3 center console delete, which basically gets rid of those 2 trays below the PCM unit, which big guys like me feel pressing into shin bones and knees constantly as you're using the accelerator pedal. So I'm looking forward to getting at least that out of the way before the road trip as well. Because honestly, the idea of 4,000 miles in this car, having gotten used to the size and the luxury comfort of the 991, I'm a little bit worried, to be honest. But anyway, here we are with Project 996. At least it's roadworthy. It's now, I don't want to say beating everything on the road, but it's really stunning. And it drives just beautifully. If you ever see me at any of the car events, if you come along to the road trip, feel free to just ask for the keys. You can take it for a spin. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, the road trip. And hopefully I can get these other jobs done before we leave at the end of May. And then, is that it? Is the 996 done? Maybe. And what's after the 996? Lots of you have been asking. Well, I have grand plans. If you tune into the latest episode of Curb and Canyon, I talk about my plans for a future 911 a little bit on that latest podcast episode. And there'll be another video talking about that soon. But for now, enjoy the 996. I'm certainly going to. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye.